All right, we're back. Just before the break, we finished routing this seam right here, and we're going to pull the clamps on here.
And these are the Danny Solo clamps.
Well, these are actually Cox Solo clamps that we get from Danny.
Yeah, but we give him credit.
Right. So, as you
now,
can see...
before you move this,
okay,
you'd actually want to take a square if you have
well,
it.
no, I've got it marked here.
Okay.
It was flush.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about it. All right, so that's going to come together right there, and we'll end up with a perfect joint right here.
It's actually beautiful now.
It's actually beautiful. You can't see it. So we're going to go ahead and glue this up after the show. Obviously, we don't have time to screw around with it, so we're going to glue it up after the show. We'll have the next one ready, and
then we'll turn around after we cut that. We'll flip it around, and we'll employ the same procedure again. We'll use the spacer bar in that, put it right up against this, run it through, and our second joint will be pulled.
Right.
So you saw how fast it was to run a mirror seam. Now we did have a couple questions that came in over the break. Ryan up in Niagara, New York, can use the jigsaw to cut out sinkholes, knowing that we're getting ready to go to sink.
Right.
Yeah, you can, but you really don't want to.
You didn't hear it from us.
Yeah. From solid surface manufacturers will tell you should never use a jigsaw with solid surface. And the reason why is really the teeth on a jigsaw are turned out from the blade, and they create just an unreal number of vertical cuts in the sidewall of the material. Now with the sink where you're going to cut it all away afterwards, maybe it doesn't make a big deal. But if you start making bowl cuts, you'll start making other cuts with a jigsaw, and you're actually building a top that'll fail. So you really want to stay away from that. Now the other thing came up, we talked about the different types of, or we started to talk about the seaming kits. Wade in Johnston, Rhode Island.
You must have really been on the ball to ask this question.
I was thinking about buying a vacuum seam kit. How does the PS55, which is the clamps made by Bessie.
He must know what
he's
the
doing his
PS55
research.
is, yeah.
He's doing his research. How does it compare to the vacuum seam? And that's a great question. You want to take a run at it?
Well, the PS55 is a nice seaming clamp. However, it's not my favorite, and the only reason is it'll pull and it'll level the seam, and it's designed to slip before it applies too much pressure. However, it doesn't have a vacuum pulled on it continuous, and that's what scares me, because anybody that uses a vacuum that's either a pump type or whatever, you have to watch that and make sure that that continues to have vacuum on it. That's the only thing. I like to be able to set a vacuum, to do a seam, because I have done seams before, regardless of whether it looks like I know what I'm doing or not. I have pulled some seams. But you want to be able to pull the seam and just walk away with it and do something else.
Mm-hmm. Now, it should be said that Bessie has sold probably thousands of those clamps.
Yeah, it's a great clamp, and especially for field.
Yeah, especially in the field work where you may not have power, it could prove indispensable.
Yep.
So it's good quality proven clamp.
Yep.
But there is always the possibility, much like the Woods power clamps, that they can fail unless you're keeping an eye on them.
And maybe we'll have a set next week to show.
The vacuum sets are nice. There are really only a couple of them out on the market that I'm aware of.
Right.
We use the Beaver Easy seam here because we think it's really the next generation beyond what's existed in the marketplace before.
Right.
They all perform well. It's
Yes,
just the Easy seam does a few extra things, like it's able to hold down straight edges.
Right. A little bit larger diameter pods, and it's combined with the Danny clamps, which we really like.
So, and the real benefit to that, of course, is every time you pull your joint, the pressure is within a consistent window. So you're never going to squeeze the joint and end up with a dry joint, which is always a concern. And if you're going to
pull your joint, you want to have consistency.
That's right.
All right, look it. Let's. We've only got 10 minutes left, so let's get on to.
We're going to go ahead and make a bowl cutout. Now there are a lot of different ways to make bowl cutouts.
This is our bowl. These are from Harmony Solid Surface, by the way. You know, we didn't even mention that. Although we did purchase this material for this job from Harmony. This is Harmony Solid Surface. It's 100% acrylic material, and we just like working with the guys down at Harmony. And
we're in Harmony.
We're in Harmony, right?
Okay.
But I wanted to talk to people about how you did this, because I was impressed, and I know I'm easily impressed, but
not usually.
I was just impressed the way that you did this. Ken cut this hole, and he reached his hand inside of it and drew
Drew another circle.
Drew another circle. But no, seriously, what he did.
This is
and
a
I
reminder.
watched him. And
Easter
I watched
is
him.
this Sunday.
That's right. I watched him do this, and it was kind of neat because what he did was, a lot of guys will just glue the bowl to the countertop and drill a big hole and use a
stagger tooth bit,
an overhang bit, right,
yep,
to cut it out. Which we sell a lot of them. A lot of guys do it that way. However, you can have a failure with that. If the bit freezes up or breaks off, you can end up cutting into the bowl real easily. You can mark the bowl really easily. And also, when you glue up your bowl, you really have no way to know if you've got enough adhesive in there to have proper squeeze out.
Yeah, because you want the squeeze out. You not only want to see it on the outside of the rim, but you want to know without a doubt, more importantly, that it's on the inside.
So what Ken did was he took and he traced out the bowl the way it was going to do. He set a center line. He traced it out, and then out of the center of this, he cut a hole big enough to reach his hand in, and he went up like this, and he just went around like this and drew out the bowl and then cut it out. So now what he's got is a perfectly, not perfectly symmetrical, but it's good enough.
It matches the bowl.
And this is easier to cut out of particle board because
yep, but this is what we had here.
Exactly.
And one of the things I did also is I laid this out with the exact position I want the bowl in relation to the front edge. So once you have a template like this, let's say I were still in fabrication and a Kohler Caxton or similar bowl that you might use over and over again, American Standard oval in, you might definitely make a template for it because that's a bowl you may cut repetitively. Or if you work with Corey in an 810 vanity bowl, it's worth having something like this. And if the setback is already figured, then you can merely line this up on your front edge of your counter, which we have it set up to where we can do that. Our center line is marked. We get this lined up right with the front edge right on the line. And all we have to do is clamp that down. The router's already all set, and we merely just have to run the router around. I'm going
to get 2 more clamps on it just in case.
Okay. Now also, if you're doing a lot of commercial work, sometimes we would even take and put the faucet hole drillings on the template too. And you could actually take and drill the faucet holes at the same time. So your bowl cutout and faucet hole drillings could all be done in a single step, which saves you a lot of work and mess in the field. So cutting this out, again, is very simple. In this case, we already have this set.
Goggles.
We'll release this so we can get this right down to where we want it. And we'll reset that.
Now again, this is the new, this is kind of neat. We've talked about it before. I don't think you're going to get a real good shot, but this is the only, that I'm aware of, carbide tipped spiral bit. Up until now, all spiral bits have been made out of solid carbide. They're very expensive. This is actually a carbide tipped spiral bit, and it runs about half the price, and as far as I know, Specialty Tools is the only one to have it. So it's kind of another Specialty Tools exclusive.
And it's really nice because, especially when you're doing a bowl cutout, one of the real benefits to this bit is it cuts from the top down, which preserves the integrity of that leading edge of your cut, but it also cuts from the bottom up.
Because it's a compression
protects the
spiral.
bottom. Exactly. So you're not going to get chip out, which could be a real nightmare during your glue up. And as you can see, we always practice safety. We removed our power before John put his hand right down on the bit. The depth of the plunge is already set, so all we're going to do is we'll start the tool up.
Oh,
we're not plugged in, so he was safe all along.
Well, see, I didn't plug that in because I knew that you were going to have a problem there. Okay.
Okay, now we're powered up. Now we're all set. We have it set up. We'll do our plunge. Lock it. And now we'll go right around. Boy, look how smooth that cut is. And the problem is...
Are you not even cutting?
No, I didn't get my plunge all the way in. Let's try that again.
Yeah, that cuts really well.
Wow, that's amazing how smooth that tool cuts. Okay, there we go. That sounds a little better, doesn't it?
Look at how all the dust is moving towards the dust wall. I don't know what that does. Now I see you put a 2x4 here. That's so that doesn't drop right out, right?
Exactly.
Really cuts well.
Yeah, it does. Okay, we'll run one more time around. All right.
Look at that. There's no dust in the air.
Nope.
There's
And
no,
we'll drop
there's no
that right
dust
off
in the air because we have the dust wall on. It's all on the floor, which is fine.
Once again, but we are fabricating in navy blue shirts,
Yeah.
which usually by this point would be almost a white shirt,
Oh, absolutely.
or at least a gray anyway.
All right, very
Okay.
good.
So now we have our hole set. Our setback is already in place.
We have another question up on the board. Chris from Florida. Wouldn't you want to put something in the center of the cutout area to support the back of the router to prevent it from angling?
I mean, it's a fishing router.
Oh, okay.
There you go. No, that's really not necessary because really you should keep your weight over
Yeah.
the board while you're cutting,
Exactly,
over on
right.
top of the template. That's why when I was going around this way, my hand was on the back of the template. As I got over here, I actually put my hand on the knob because I
Right.
put my weight back out over this, and if they came back out, my hand was then back over here again, and I was able to complete my cut. So, I mean, that's a good question. It's a valid point, which is you really don't want your tools to tip while you're cutting because if you did, you would obviously really screw this up. Now, one thing to point out again is the template we made was an exact fit to the bowl itself.
Right.
What we did here is we're using a 1-inch template guide, which is going to automatically make our cut 1/4 inch smaller than the bowl itself.
Right.
So even
The hole is smaller, so we have an overhang.
exactly, we're going to have an overhang during the glue up, but that'll keep the glue from running down the wall of the bowl, and it still doesn't give us an excessive amount to cut out afterwards. It's still a good amount, more than I might like. Maybe a 3/4 inch bit would have been better,
Right.
but a valid point anyway. So that was taken care of. Okay. Well, unfortunately, it looks like we're just about running out of time for tonight's show, so I don't know if we can go much further.
Actually, I'm waiting for the fun part because I'm going to get to blow all this stuff down to the dust collector.
Oh, that's what you're waiting for?
I was kind of keeping an eye on what's on the floor, but I just want everybody to see how cool this
Oh,
is.
so you're going to put your goggles on.
Right.
All right, I'll let you do that for just a minute. Well, I know a lot of people that would certainly love to clean up a shop this easy.
I just think this thing is so cool. Wouldn't it be cool to have one of these in your house?
And we even have one of the things almost blocked up by the template.
Yeah, I saw that.
So you said you're putting one of these in your house now.
Yeah, I'd love to.
No more vacuuming.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's just amazing that you can do that.
Well, anyway, while John finishes blowing the dust off the floor, I know we only have a minute left. Go ahead, you're having a great time.
I am. This is great.
Next week, we'll go ahead. We'll have the seams already pulled for you. We'll have the bowl glued on, and we'll talk about how we did that. But we'll have those things already ready.
Are we actually going to pull the seams? Well, don't you think they want to see that?
Well, we can pull them and show them the process we went through. We can have the bowl glued on. Both processes are very simple to show.
Can't we glue the seam up and glue the bowl on at the same time? And maybe just do a short segment on that?
Well, we could.
Okay, then
but if we want to do the
thermal
forming next week.
Well, maybe we're going to be a week behind now. I don't know.
We'll figure it out between now and then. Obviously, we haven't got it all done. But we'll be ready. And next week, that's what we'll plan to do. We'll end up having the seam to deal with. Well, no, I guess maybe not next week unless you want to.
We might be. We might be. We'll have to check and see if we can. So check the internet and check and make sure that if we're going to be on next week or not. We'll see.
All right.
All right. But
although we still have a lot of shows we're doing.
That's true. We may not be on next week. Just check the website and see. You know, I mean, you know, this
He's
is
really
what
a
life
lot
is
better
like
when
for
his
us.
medication is adjusted right. So
all right.
Next time we're back, whenever that is, we will cover these things. Once again, it's great having you guys there. We appreciate all the hits.
Good night, everybody. Say good night, Ken.
We'll catch you next go around.
See ya. Bye.